All right, welcome to Talkin' Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. I want to do an update on Bitcoin and look at a few of the Bitcoin miners in specific. This is a weekend edition, so Bitcoin obviously is still trading. The miners are not trading today. So I want to focus on the Bitcoin chart and talk about a key area that we're at and see where we're going to go from here. We cover Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners quite a bit on this channel, so if that's content you're interested in, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if you like this video, please smash the like button and feel free to drop a comment below. You will also see in the pinned comment is a link to our free Discord. We're almost up to 500 people in there, so we'd love to have you join us. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart on the 1 hour time frame for starters. So there's 3 orange lines. This was the close of the equity markets on Wednesday, the 23rd. This was the close of the equity markets on Thursday, the 24th. And this was the close of the equity markets yesterday on Friday, the 25th. So from the bottom to the top over the last 3 or 4 days, Bitcoin's fluctuated about 17%. So basically there was a massive push down overnight due to geopolitical circumstances. That created some massive short-term downward pressure. Surprisingly, we did bounce off the bottom here. Both Bitcoin and the equity markets, basically first thing in the morning, bounced off the bottom and headed straight back up. So what I want to really focus on is this was the close of Thursday. So between the close of the equity markets on Thursday and the middle of the day on Saturday, so that's now 2 days later, Bitcoin has been trading in a very tight range. You can see we have this orange line here at around 38,376 and this red line here at about 39,600. So we've been in between those two lines since the close of Thursday. And really since the close of Friday, we've really been hugging pretty tight to this line where we closed. This previous line of support has been a line of resistance. So you'll see just since the 24th, we hit that here, we hit it again here, we hit it again here on the 25th. Basically this candle wicked almost up to it right here, and then an hour ago we hit it again right here. So this line that was once support is now turning into resistance. Back on February 18th and 19th, this was providing support. This candle went below it, and since we went below this line, we have not been able to get back above it. So this is a classic support turning into resistance situation. So I'm looking at this weekend. We've got the rest of the day Saturday, all day Sunday. I think the mission of Bitcoin this weekend is to get above this red line here at around 39,600 and turn this back into a line of support and start to head up from there. Okay, so this is Bitcoin on the daily time frame right here. So we've talked about this green line. That was about 1 month long, and that was an upward trend in Bitcoin starting on January 22nd and basically going through until late February. We then broke below this. I believe that the geopolitical tensions built up over the course of a week and really pushed both the equity markets and Bitcoin down, and you can see we almost had some real capitulation here. This was decent volume and a massive swing from down to 34,500 back up above. By the time the candle closed, we were above this line of support. So this line actually held all the way through the downward pressure. That's at about 37,400. However, this line, and that's the line that we've been looking at and talking about, this line of resistance still holds. And you'll see this is today's candle, and we're still sitting green. So since we bottomed out, we've been green ever since. And today, it's on the razor's edge. We're just barely green, and we're gonna have to see where we finish up today. But obviously, we're right under this important line. So if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that I've extended this green line with this white line here. This is basically just an extension because I believe Bitcoin is still on this short-term bullish run. I think it was sidetracked for a little bit due to world circumstances, and I think it's heading back up to this. So I'm leaving this line on here. So what I'd like to see and what I think is going to happen is we're going to break through this line, create some support, and get back above this line and start to trend up again. And then you can see, obviously, we have a critical line, this purple line here at 45,500. We got a lot of work to do before we even start trying to get there, but we need to close a candle above that because that will create a higher high for us. We ran into this as resistance quite a bit here, and we have not been above this line since January 5th. So basically all of 2022, we've been below this line. We've tested it and touched it a bunch of times, but we have not broken above it. So this is our next line of resistance. So in the shorter term, you can see this is the 4-hour candles. This 4-hour candle has touched this line of resistance. This 4-hour candle actually candle wicked above it, but closed below it. So we've been hitting this almost every 4 hours. We have to see if we can break through this line. Okay, so I just want to look at the daily RSI for a minute, because you'll see I covered this in a video in the middle of the week. Good things have tended to happen above 50 on the daily RSI on the Bitcoin chart. So you can see this entire run up here happened from the day we crossed 50 on the upside until the day we crossed it on the downside. Same thing with this run up right here. Everything, the daily RSI stayed over 50, and as soon as it broke below, we broke to the downside. So we got extremely oversold by January 22nd here, and Bitcoin bottomed out, and then you can see we got back above 50, and I believe I'm going to add a white line right here. You can see we were above 50 and we were trending upward, and Bitcoin was doing its thing. So I think that we had some world events crash us down below, and here today we're just at about 46, so we're almost back to 50. So we're fighting the fight right here. We got a line of resistance at about 39,600, and we have the RSI just under 50. So I think if we can push those two things, then we can get back onto a little bit of a bull run. I just want to finish by taking a look at the 4-hour time frame and talk about if we don't succeed, if we don't get above this line of resistance and turn this back into support, if we don't get above 50 on the daily RSI, then it's likely we go down and test some previous lines of support. So, you know, the two that are closest here that are significant are at around 37,400, and then we bottomed out here at around 34,300. So we do not want to go below this line. Obviously, we'd like to not go below this line either, but this one's important. This was a local bottom. We don't want to go below that and start having lower lows. So that's kind of the downside analysis. I focused more on the upside because that's where I think we're going. But as you all know, Bitcoin is extremely unpredictable. So if we do fail to get across this line, it is likely we go back and test some of these other lines. So this is GREE on the daily time frame. So each one of these candles represents 1 day. You can see that on Thursday, like all of the other Bitcoin miners, despite the fact that this is a green candle, there was a massive gap down at the open of the day. So basically this opened at its low and quickly, like all the other ones, quickly came back and ended the day green. Friday GREE was up 0.78%, so that was a little bit of a positive day, but basically sideways. And you can see this is 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row that we've pretty much been sideways. Now, this flash dip got down to about $7.80. So that is GREE's all-time low. But really, where we're sitting right here, I think is a more realistic low. Somewhere, you know, this is at $9.03. I think $9 is more of a realistic low for this. It just flashed below this for a very brief period of time. So you can see if we go from where GREE closed on Friday, this goes back to February 10th. So basically this was 2 weeks ago. If GREE can just retrace its steps back the last 2 weeks, and there's been no new news in GREE or any change in circumstances. So most of this has just been downward pressure on the market and downward pressure on Bitcoin. All the Bitcoin miners took a very similar journey over this 2-week period. So there's 53% upside just to get back to where GREE was. And I've drawn a white line here because you can see that seems to be a little bit of a point of resistance. We hit that on January 21st and then again on February 1st and several other times. So I do think we'll gravitate back to this line. I'm going back to January 3rd, and that was basically the first day of trading in the year 2022. If GREE can just retrace its steps back to where it was less than 2 months ago, that would be about a 94% increase in the price of GREE's stock. So I do think there's a bunch of potential upside here on GREE. I think they really established a low right here on this flash that we had. And so I think, you know, your downward risk is probably somewhere around $7.80. They're sitting at around $9, which I think is more of a natural floor for them, and with some potential upside. So obviously this is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence. GREE, as well as all the Bitcoin miners, are very volatile, so please do your due diligence and invest wisely. The next one I want to look at is stock ticker IREN, which is Iris Energy. And I want to have the kind of the opposite conversation on this one. I believe that this one's actually a little bit overbought right now. And I don't mean that in the long term. I do think this has a lot of upside potential left over the course of time. But what I have here is this orange line here represents the movement of Bitcoin. So if I go back to the flash crash back on December 3rd, from that day forward, where we're sitting right now, Iris is actually significantly outperforming Bitcoin. Bitcoin's down 30% from that day, and Iris is down 16%. So what's unusual about this is basically if you pick any other miner, the reverse situation is true. Bitcoin has outperformed almost every other miner over that same period of time. Iris has performed well versus the other miners. So this is a very short-term opinion, but I think at the moment, I think the other miners will probably do some catching up to this. This has run out a little bit ahead. This is not a long-term conversation I'm having. I do think there's lots of upside on Iris over, you know, the next 3 months, 6 months, years, if they do what they talked about doing. They have some massive plans. But for me right now, I don't hold a position in this, and I feel like this is not a good entry point for me. So again, this is not financial advice, so please do your own due diligence. Iris, just like all the rest of these, you can see is very volatile. Bitcoin's volatile. All these Bitcoin mining stocks are volatile, so please be careful investing. So that is my weekend update. If something significant happens over the rest of the weekend, I will be doing another Bitcoin update. If we are just heading sideways, I'm going to leave it be, and I will see you in the next video.